I'm Kathryn Delaney, and this is your daily tarot reading for September 13th, 2020. It's Sunday. I hope you've had a relaxing weekend. I hope you've been able to keep peace in your household. There's some squares going on right now with the planets that can cause some friction, so it's always good to remember what life's all about, and keeping peace is really important these days because we're in some chaotic times. For the cards for today, I drew 3 cards. The first card that we have for today is the Two of Wands. The Two of Wands is, in numerology, the 2 is a reflective number. It's also, because it's wands, associated with our will and enterprises. And so when you think of 2 wills, you know, sometimes you can have like 2 opposing things that we want to do and that we feel called to do. And this is quite literally the Call of the Wild card. The figure that's in this card is feeling a need to go out into the world and to do something different. They're reflecting on what they've done in the past and they want to move forward and to do something new. The message in this card is to make sure that you complete old things before moving forward, so that you can move forward without the extra weight kind of calling you back behind you. So the Call of the Wild card does actually ask you to take care of things that are kind of weighing you down so that you can actually move forward. The second card that we have for today is the Ace of Swords. Swords are associated with our mental center, communications. It's the element of air, so it's associated with the mind, as I said. Now, being that it's an ace, it's speaking to clarity, like clarity around an idea or, you know, what direction you want to go in. It can also speak to some communication coming in today that brings clarity in where you want to go in your life and what you feel like you need to do. It can bring some clarity to this situation for sure. The third card that we have for today is the King of Swords, so another Swords card. Now, the King of Swords is associated with fixed air energy, which is commonly associated with Aquarius. Now, that sign, because it has the energetics of fixed air, is like fixed ideas, fixed thoughts, kind of a sense of who you are around how you see things. And because of that, there's a sense of detachment around other things that don't sync up. So, you know, this actual zodiac sign can be associated with more of like friendships rather than one-on-one relationships. So this could speak to some communication from a friend that comes in today that brings some clarity, right? Because we saw some clarity before. It can also speak to some things that are up and coming. Right now we do have a conjunction of a few different planets in Capricorn, and by, you know, how most people look at the astrological system, they look at it from an earth centered point of view. So we look out from the world and everything is placed from the earth being the center of the system. So that's called a geocentric system. But there are other ways to look at how planets travel around our solar system. And you can also look at it from the sun's perspective of being the center, since it's actually the center of our planetary system. And that's a heliocentric system. And so in that system, some of the planets that are that are currently viewed as being in Capricorn in our geocentric system have already moved forward into Aquarius. And so Aquarius is, you know, unexpected changes, kind of, you know, new ideas, new ways of looking at things. And those ideas become pretty fixed because there's a sense of detachment around the old things that didn't work. And so this is all about like new changes that bring about change to very outworn conditions and outworn ways of doing things, which is what we're actually seeing is happening in our society right now all over the world. And in some ways, not in ways that we would like, but in other ways that we do appreciate, right? Like we're actually becoming more aware of what's going on in the environment and what we're doing to the environment, because the environment has had a break from humans pumping a bunch of pollution and industry having its full-blown, production happening in the last few months. So we've seen some benefits from that, but we're also about to see some major changes, and we're already starting to see some changes to how we interact in the social structure and what that looks like. And that's like, of course, a bigger view, and that's what Aquarius brings about, is a bigger view, like a more long-range view, a bigger way of seeing things. And so in that way, it is important to remember, like, and this is something that I was thinking about this morning, is that, like anytime that we're looking at doing something or going out into the world to, go to a new place or climbing a mountain or whatever we think is to come, the mind always wants to plan and try to create stability in that world. And sometimes there's some unexpected changes, and to be attached to our ideas, our fixed ideas, isn't always useful because it can cause a lot of unnecessary suffering. So how can we actually be more present with the changes that are happening and adjust with them as necessary, and be open to communication, being open to exchanges, being open to placing our feet on this ground that's in front of us, instead of consistently looking back and beating ourselves up for things that we can't actually change. So it's interesting because Aquarius is ruled by Saturn and Uranus right now is in Taurus, which Uranus is a planet that is, where Aquarius gets that energy of like change to outworn ideas, because Uranus is that planet that brings about changes to situations. And it's been in Taurus for like a year, a little bit like a year and a half. And so it's been bringing changes to that area of your chart for the last year and a half, and it will continue to do so for another 5.5 years, because it's in each sign for 7 years. But Saturn is currently in Capricorn, so they're in trine by, because they're both in earth signs, they're in trines by sign, but there are other relationships happening as well, right? Like Mars right now is currently in square relationship to Saturn. So the planets and how they're playing out on you individually, you can see when you look at your natal chart, because you can see which houses those signs sit in, and then you can look for where the planets are right now and see how it's affecting those areas of your life, and also how it might be interplaying with your natal chart and where the planets are in your natal chart or the time when you were born. So there's some interesting stuff going on right now in our solar system, and it's definitely happening on a global scale. It's happening to everybody, and there's been shifts that are similar as far as like big, health scares like plagues and, wars and things like that historically, that are very similar to things that are happening right now in our solar system. So it's important to consider that we are at a time of, literally a time of change, just based on where the planets are right now. So to not beat yourself up for that, like where you currently are in the grand scheme of things, to realize that if you're feeling a call to do something different, maybe it's because there's something deep within you that it wants to do something different, and to have, a sense of detachment around what isn't working for you. and realize that, like, no matter what, things are always temporary, and to put your energy and efforts where you ultimately feel good in putting your energy and efforts. So that's our reading for today, for Sunday. Of course, if you'd like your own personal reading, or if you'd like to look at where the planets are right now for you personally, just reach out to me and we'll schedule some time. You can get a hold of me at rootsofalchemy@gmail.com. You can also get a tarot reading from me, which we will look briefly at what's going on with you astrologically for like the first 10 or so minutes, and then we'll go into a 12-card reading for you, because I do an astrological reading, so there's a card for every house, and it's always interesting how planets kind of show up there, because there are cards that are associated with different planets and zodiacs, kind of like what I refer to every day. But I hope you have a wonderful Sunday. I hope you get outside and enjoy some beautiful weather. As you can tell, it's really beautiful again in Colorado. That's one of the interesting aspects of Colorado, is that it can be cold and snowy one day and it can be 85 degrees the next, or 2 days later. So welcome to the wild world. I send you love and many blessings, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.